Hello, everybody. Oh my gosh, it's so good to be back. Uh, the last few weeks have just been, oh my gosh, crazy with like the flu hitting my family and then the super fun time of flu with my family and then like my voice. It's been awesome. Oh my gosh, Becky, I am so glad to see you. How are you? Just to like let you guys know, make sure that you are I guess I didn't like clip this on very well. Make sure that you check out La Hermosa Bruja, the beautiful witch, if you are watching from Metaphysical Round Tables YouTube or Facebook page. And make sure that you check out Gypsy Soul Surfer on Facebook. She has some amazing stuff and she is taking clients now. I know. Some, excuse me. See, I can't edit the coughing out of the live show. So I'm just, I'm stocked up here though with cough drops and some of my awesome doTERRA cough drops. Oh, I'm telling you, I've like eaten all the Breathe doTERRA cough drops, which are fantastic, but these are the On Guard cough drops, and they're freaking awesome. I'm telling you. But I will try really hard not to cough directly into my microphone because I clearly cannot edit it out of the live show like I could the shows that I finally got posted yesterday. So much fun. Oh my gosh. Hey Alethea. Oh my gosh. It's so good to see everybody. I'm so happy to see you guys. And I cannot wait to talk about this subject that I've been wanting to talk about for 3 weeks. So I want to tell you, and hey Joy, how are you? Um, I'm telling you, I had a little disagreement with this guy that was telling me about astrology. He was telling me about astrology. Um, and I finally got posted yesterday. Oh, um, what happened? My chat just went weird. Um, what did you get posted yesterday, Alethea? And I do need to come in for some Reiki. Seriously. Oh, um, what did you get posted yesterday, Alethea? But so I have this little disagreement with this guy that was telling me about astrology and how it's just basically all BS. Okay. And do you know what his reasoning was? I'm just going to tell you. It's kind of crazy. He goes, well, it's so stupid because the planets 200 years ago, 400 years ago, 1,000 years ago, we're not in the same position that they're in now. I know that. I'm like, the whole thing is like, the planets aren't even in the same position as they were yesterday, genius. I mean, but he was disagreeing with me about astrology because I asked him his birthday. And he was like, I know you don't believe in all of that. Do you know like what I do for a living? I mean, and he was just like it was just flabbergasted. I was like, the name of my company is Metaphysical Round Table. What do you think I do for a living? So he just like was just so just trying to disagree with me about astrology and its importance. I think astrology is important. And granted, I have really only been diving into astrology since about 2017. Um, And this wonderful lady that I used to work with, she got me interested in it because she was like, I don't understand you. I'm having to leave early. I'll catch the replay. Okay, no problem, Alethea. But I had she was like, I don't understand. You're so into numerology. How could you not like be into astrology? And I just thought it was too complicated. I just honestly, I looked at people's charts and I thought it was too complicated. And I thought that it was just beyond me. Since I have like started studying astrology, I've taken so many astrology classes. I can't stop. I'm addicted. But I love it. I love the patterns in astrology. Okay. So I really want to start by talking about Pluto because we just had this major Pluto shift, right? Pluto is generational. Pluto basically does move like every generation because Pluto moves every I have it written down. Pluto moves is the slowest moving planet. It moves every 12 to 31 years. So it could be in one sign for 30 years. That's generational. It takes roughly about 220 years to 248 years to go through all the signs. It's pretty intense. Saturn, on the other hand, which I think Saturn is also important. I think Saturn is hugely important. One of the astrology classes I took, they were like, if you don't know anything else about somebody that you're reading for, find out what their Saturn is, which I think is very interesting. But Saturn moves every 2 to 2.5 years. All right. So it takes about 29 to 30 years to go through all of the signs. It's very interesting. Okay. So the things that I'm going to be talking about has to do with generational stuff. It has to do with things that have a huge impact on us. So let's start with like the last 16 years, 15 years. Pluto's been in Capricorn. Okay. Pluto in Capricorn can be very aggressive. It's power hungry. Okay. Pluto is a big game changer. So Pluto in Capricorn Pluto went into Capricorn 2008. All right. Now, with Pluto in Capricorn, the first thing we saw is like the whole bank problems, right? We saw like the bank issues. We saw the mortgage crisis. We saw all of these things happening. And did the banks pay? No, they did not. Before that, before 2008, Pluto was in Capricorn in 1762 to 1778. Look at the big major things that happened around the world during that time. The United States was a group of colonies that were just trying to deal with a really tough situation under British rule. They were tired of being under the thumb of the British, of the king. They were just like, this is impossible. We can't do this anymore. So they started to rebel. Incrementally, they started to rebel, right? So we saw a lot of things come up during that time. Hey, how about the Boston Massacre? How about the Boston Tea Party? Look at all the things that we did as a group of colonies that were trying to assert our independence, right? The same thing was happening in France. They were just not going about it as organized. Okay, they were not as organized as the colonies were in the United States. The seedling that was the United States. Now, when Pluto moved into Aquarius in 1778, technically the U.S. had already declared independence. They technically declared independence on July 4th, 1776, right? That's when we say that's the birth of the nation. However, the Constitution was not ratified. It was not put into place until 1781 when Pluto was in Aquarius. So there was a lot of plans made while Pluto was in Capricorn, and those plans were implemented during Pluto in Aquarius, which is a lot more free thinking. So I'm very excited about this next part of the journey, where Pluto is in Aquarius. So when we see Pluto having returns in countries, okay, we had our, I feel like we have our Pluto return in, I felt like we've had our Pluto return in Capricorn, but also I feel like we're going to have our Pluto returns as a nation in Aquarius. And it's our first one. And I feel like it's a big deal. I really do. Because the nation was born right on the cusp of Pluto in Capricorn and Pluto in Aquarius. So I feel like this is a really important time here. Pluto was in Aquarius from 1778 to 1798. And really amazing things happened during that time too. Jane Austen was born during that time. One of my favorite authors. So for the next 20 years, with a tiny little respite of Pluto going back into Capricorn when he goes retrograde later this year, for just a minute, Pluto goes back into Capricorn, and then Pluto is essentially in Aquarius until 2044. So here's a little history, okay? Rome fell after its second Pluto return. Yeah. So if Pluto's taken a couple of hundred years or so to go through all the signs, right? 225 years to 240 years is when we're looking at like Pluto returns, right? So Rome fell after its second Pluto return. Britain has gone through 3 Pluto returns. I am fascinated by that. So the first Pluto returns happened where there was a famine, a huge famine in the 1300s. That's pretty interesting. The second Pluto returns of Britain is when Elizabeth I was in power, and it was supposed to be the golden age. William Shakespeare. Yeah. The third Pluto returns was in the 1800s, and this is when the United Kingdom was actually a formal creation, when they named like the United Kingdom. So just to look at like the history of some of these countries, some of the things going on, this is what was happening. Now, the U.S., the United States, the fledgling country of the United States was gaining its independence. France was gaining its independence. Meanwhile, at the same time, China and India were coming under the control of others. Boy, that's kind of interesting, isn't it? So there is a big push and pull with Pluto. It's not just like a rebellion against control, but sometimes people lose control as well. So Britney Spears is a great example of this, because Britney Spears, I think we all know a lot of her story, right? Where her dad took control of her empire, let's call it, during Pluto in Capricorn. She lost control of her entire life while Pluto was in Capricorn. But she also got it back at the same time. I mean, not the same time. It was a huge span of time. But here, right at the end of Pluto and Capricorn, she got her liberation. So it's kind of interesting there. Now, so I love to see these patterns. I'm not necessarily like celebrating the fact that like India and China lost their independence or that Britney Spears did, but I'm just saying, look at the patterns. Look at the patterns here. It's really, really interesting. It is. Something's wrong. Where's my timer? Oh, there it is. Okay. I was just like, I don't want to like try and stress out my voice tonight because I have to finish filming the numerology to post by Thursday. So, and I'm taking appointments again, so I don't want to stress out my voice by talking this long. I know. Oh my gosh, really? Okay, so Becky on YouTube says that her Saturn and Pluto are both in Scorpio. Now, I have something to say about that. So I looked up Pluto in generations. Okay, so most of the baby boomers were born with Pluto and Leo. That's 1937 to 1958. And that is the me generation. Yeah. And because this generation came of age in the 60s and the 70s. Oh, yeah. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, so then Gen X is actually split between Pluto and Virgo, 1956 to 1972, and Pluto and Libra, 1971 to 1984. It still has a lot of there's some big differences here because this is where we see people that are they're seeking authenticity. The Pluto and Virgo, they're seeking authenticity. They're looking for really an extreme transparency and excuse me. And then this is the generation that was sent to the Gulf War. Then Pluto and Libra is really seeking fairness and equality and justice, which is really, really interesting. Hello, Sophia. Then we have Pluto and Scorpio, which is the start of the millennials. Okay. There's Becky, Gypsy Soul Surfer. So that's 1983 to 1995. So Pluto and Scorpio has the ability to expose taboos in order to protect those who are most vulnerable. Wow, that is so cool. They use their emotional radar to identify places of rot in the culture that needs to become like fixed, that needs to be fixed somehow. This is like people that entered the workforce during the Great Recession. This is interesting. You don't identify as a millennial. I love that, Becky. Hey, Kelsey. No worries, dude. I'm still trying to catch up from being sick and from being so like out of it. And yes, you are an old soul, Becky. 100%. I'll agree with that. Okay, the early Gen Zs have Pluto and Sagittarius. That's 95 to 2008. And they are the one that are going to discover and fight for meaningful power shifts in the world. They're looking to free themselves and society from confining conventional stuff. I love that. Kelsey is on Facebook and she says she does not identify as a millennial either because y'all are both old souls. Yeah. Okay, Pluto in Capricorn is the late Gen Z, and they are the ones that are looking to learn the lessons of the past and transform like all of these structures in this future generation. So I'm very fascinated by this. I am. Now, with the Pluto, oh, for Pete's sake, I keep selecting the wrong thing. Now, Pluto is it is a very big deal because it really is a big it's a transformation. And this is a generational thing. So when we're looking at this, I cannot find that. There it is. Right now, with Pluto moving into Aquarius, the article that I found was saying we're looking at a reboot of the Matrix. I love that. I mean, I feel like we are going into like a deeper way of thinking and a deeper way of like moving, because look again at what happened almost 250 years ago with Pluto in Aquarius. The Constitution of the United States that we are still like, we still have like we've amended it like a million times, right? But we still have our Constitution in place. And I'm like, really, this is very exciting to me. So I don't think that we're in a place of like Rome, where Rome fell right after its second Pluto return. And I'm hoping that we don't get like too big for our britches here in the US for that. I mean, because Britain is still going and they're getting ready to have their fourth, which I'm here for it. So I want you guys to take a look at your Pluto. I want you to look at Pluto in your chart. Look where you are with it. I'm Pluto in Libra. I'm 100% like Gen X. Yeah. Those scary as hell people. But I am truly, truly like excited to see what we can do, not only as a nation, but as individuals, like bringing this in. And I'm telling you right now, you need to look at the Aquarius placements in your chart because it is deeply affecting people with a lot of Aquarius placements in your chart. And I can tell you because Dr. Seuss has Aquarius rising, and I'm seeing it. I mean, I am seeing it. And I'm just like, I felt like it was a little, I don't know. I was kind of watching for it. I just wanted to see. But it's already affecting him. Like, things that are happening just in our family, things that are going on with us. My grandmother transitioned during this time. She was an Aquarius sun, and she transitioned after Pluto went into Aquarius. So and it was right before her 94th birthday, she transitioned. So I think that is a very interesting thing too, is like seeing how it affects us. I'm not saying that if you have a lot of Aquarius in your chart that you're going to transition, but the woman was in her 90s, and so it was just like there was a bigger deal with her. And she wasn't even on here. Her Pluto, because I looked it up, I didn't know her rising sign because she was born at home. There was no time given, but her Pluto was actually in Cancer. I know. So really, really interesting. Whoop, no moon is in Aquarius. My rising in Jupiter in Aquarius. Okay, that's cool. Aquarius and Scorpio. What moon is in Aquarius. Oh my gosh. Okay, that's really interesting. So Kelsey's rising and Jupiter are in Aquarius. So that's her luck, right? It's how people see her, because your rising sign is how people see you. Becky's saying that her moon is in Aquarius. This is again, I think this is really, really interesting. This is really cool. Alethea, I'll have to look at your chart for you. Yeah. Scorpio and Aries. Okay, Sophia says probably her Pluto is in Scorpio. That is very interesting. I really am. I'm wanting to see how this all plays out here, people, because the next thing I want to tell you, I want to talk to you about is Saturn. Now, I've been mapping this out because I've been trying to see like what the some of the next transits and some of the next things that are going to happen. And when I was looking at charts, when I was going down the line of, I was looking at different dates for 2024 and just looking at them and just being like, okay, what's going to happen on this date? What's going to happen on this date? I started noticing that the North Node is getting closer to Saturn. And I was like, what happens when Saturn is conjunct the North Node? What happens when Saturn is conjunct the South Node? Because Saturn is such a major player in our charts. So then I was like, oh, I've got to research it. So I'm like looking, trying to figure out like what's going on. I found this wonderful site. All right. It's MelanieReinhart.com. 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 She has it all listed out. She has when Saturn has been conjunct the North Node since 1911. And she has it mapped out because the next time Saturn is conjunct the North Node is April 14th of 2025. Now, I started looking back at these times, at these dates when Saturn was conjunct the North Node, and every time I moved, I had a big move. I moved out of my parents' house. I moved into a different apartment. I moved across the country twice, actually. In 2002, I moved to Colorado. In 2013, I moved back to Georgia. So right around the times that Saturn was conjunct the North Node, this is when I implemented those changes. Like right before or right after is when the actual move took place. So really kind of interesting for me. Again, patterns. I'm like looking at these patterns and just like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Now, when I looked at Saturn conjunct the South Node, it's been breakups. Like pretty significant and big breakups for me. It's been major monster breakups for me. And it hasn't always been romantic breakups. It's been friendship breakups too. And friendship breakups are harder than romantic breakups a lot of times, right? Because when you have a friendship breakup, who are you supposed to turn to cry on your shoulder? You can't. What are you supposed to do? You can't like exactly drown your sorrows like you can with a romantic breakup. It's a whole different situation. And it's really, yeah, it's hard. So I was looking at that and I was like, oh my gosh. The things that changed for me during those times when Saturn was conjunct South Node, not my personal South Node, just in general, in like the grand scheme of things. And I'm looking to see what happens when Saturn is conjunct my personal north node and south node. That's a whole different animal. But when Saturn is conjunct the north node for the entire planet, I have a big move. When Saturn is conjunct the south node for the whole planet, I have breakups. And it's funny because in 2019, it happened 3 times because, north and south node move backwards, but they do have direct times. When they go direct, they're moving like, normally, because north node and south node are retrograde most of the time. And so when Saturn was retrograde in 2019, it kept crossing over south node. So that was a weird year for me. And I felt it. That was major breakup central for me in 2019. And it just so happens because of those breakups, I started Metaphysical Round Table. I know. 02 was my senior year of high school. 13, I changed jobs. Okay, so Kelsey, I would say when Saturn is conjunct the north node, you have major transitions. You have major transitions. Leaving high school, that's a huge deal. And it was in June of 2002 is when Saturn was conjunct the north node. So that is a huge transition for you. Changing jobs also is a huge transition. 2019 had a bad friend breakup. Yeah, I think a lot of people did. In 2019, there was a lot of friendship breakups. There were, because I know mine wasn't the only one. And the south node is about releasing. The south node is about releasing. Isn't that interesting? It's fascinating. So 2019, before that, it was 2007. And before that, it was 1997. So all of those were major transitional years for me with relationships. It was huge. So I think this is just fascinating. And this Melanie Reinhart, MelanieReinhart.com, this was really, really fascinating because she has Saturn node questions for contemplation. She has a whole little thing where you can work through this. I love this. It was a really awesome find. And I will put this link on my website. Let me see if I can put it here. Hang on. Copy. Text. All right, let me see if I can add this in. Paste. Add. Show. Okay. This is the link. And I don't know how to stop it from rotating. I'm real sorry. I wonder if I could just add it in as a banner. But this is MelanieReinhart.com /southnode.htm. This is a gold mine of information right here. So if you're interested, there it is. Play this back, hit pause, whatever you got to do. I am just truly truly amazed by this. 19, I had a bad friend breakup. We still text occasionally, but it's been 10 years this last weekend since the last time we saw each other. Wow. So this is very interesting to me. Just seeing the different things that happen at this time. And with these kind of transitions, with these kind of things, I would like to see when Saturn goes through my north node, but it does, your Saturn returns doesn't happen very often. Your personal Saturn returns is when you hit like 28 to 32, I think. And your second Saturn returns, your personal one, happens when you're in your 60s usually. I would say late 50s, early 60s. And it's really interesting to see because my first Saturn returns that hit my natal Saturn in my chart happened in 2002, I think. And that was an interesting one because I just pulled up roots and I just moved across the country. I was like, got to go. And I just moved. And I applied to school and I got in and I was like, okay, I'm leaving, I'm going. So it's pretty interesting. I learned a lot about myself in my first Saturn returns. So because I went through that at that time, I'm not going to have to go through as much when I hit my second Saturn returns, in another like 10 or 12 years. Maybe not even that long. Now I'm like, good gosh, I'm going to have to see. Because, it just wasn't like super fun the first time. But I will say I did learn a lot about myself. Not super fun. Okay, my personal Saturn is in Gemini. So it is going to be a minute before Saturn makes its way back to Gemini because Saturn right now is in Pisces. And Saturn is, yeah. And you know what, Kelsey? There usually aren't people's favorite years because usually there's some major thing that happens to us during our first Saturn returns. There's usually something big that happens. So I know you can't really just go, oh, well, you can't really predict it, but you can see it on people's charts and you're just like, oh my gosh, they're going through their first Saturn returns. And it's just like, you can see the things shaking up with them. Your Saturn's in Scorpio? Huh. Okay. Sorry, I'm just looking, just checking things out. So, this is very interesting to me. I want to see. Kelsey, you have so much in Pisces. I just remember that. See, okay. This is a really, really good example here. Kelsey has a lot in Pisces. All right. I'm not trying to tell your chart, Kelsey, but Sun, Mercury, and Moon, she has in Pisces. Now, that's not where her Saturn is. Her Saturn is in Scorpio. So she's already experienced her first Saturn returns. But with Saturn sitting in her chart where her natal Sun, Moon, and Mercury are, this is having a huge effect on her. This is definitely having a huge effect on her. And I'm saying this because I just did her chart a few weeks ago. This is a pretty interesting thing because she is going through a lot of changes. She is going through a lot of changes. Now, here's what I would like to see, because again, I'm interested in these patterns. When Saturn crosses into the North Node, it's going to be in the last degrees of Pisces. Saturn conjunct that North Node is going to happen in April of 2025, and it's going to be in the last degrees of Pisces. That is definitely going to affect our friend Kelsey. And this is what I'm interested in seeing. I don't think it's going to affect her in a bad way. What I think it's doing is I think it's saying, hey, we need to make some changes in these areas. Let's see what we can shake out. It's very interesting. I know. I know. Look, okay, Kelsey, those of you that are in Facebook, Kelsey's in YouTube and she's like, yippee, this is great. Hey, Michelle, how are you doing? Okay, Michelle is also a Pisces, and Grace, hi. Okay, and her Saturn is in Scorpio as well. Okay. I tell you, I truly am interested, like just seeing like some of the things that are happening with these patterns. I love it. I really do. Um, I love to see the patterns that happen in astrology, and having that man tell me that astrology is just a bunch of BS. I mean, I wanted to call him some choice names. And he's like, the planets are not even in the same place as they were 200 years ago or 2000 years ago. No shit, Sherlock. I mean, like I said at the beginning here, the planets are not even in the same place as they were yesterday. How can you say that? I mean, Pluto wasn't even discovered until the 1930s. Come on, man. But you can still go back and you can still see where Pluto was, because now that Pluto is whatever they're calling it now, I think they're calling it a dwarf planet. They keep changing their minds. But now that you can see where Pluto, that there is a planet there, you can go back and you can see where it was at certain times. And that's what I think is so amazing about looking at what happened the last time Pluto was in Capricorn and the last time Pluto was in Aquarius, because we are living in that right now. And looking back and seeing like the history of it, I just think it's really cool. And granted, our country is not very old, right? I mean, we're looking at 250 years. But when we look at countries like Great Britain, when we look at the United Kingdom, and we see the big things that's happened when they hit their first Pluto returns, and when they hit their second and their third. And the first one was the Great Famine of 1315. That was during the United Kingdom, the Great Britain's first Pluto returns. The second one was again during Elizabeth I's golden age. And the third one was in the 1800s when the United Kingdom was actually like created. It was coined as the United Kingdom. Apparently it's not even a planet. I know. Who does that? I mean, thank you, Neil deGrasse Tyson. I mean, are you kidding me? Like taking Pluto down? I just think that's rude. So look at your Pluto, okay? Because that is generational. Look at Pluto in your chart. Then I want you to take a look at Saturn in your chart. Personally, I'm also looking at my North Node because I want to know what happens when Saturn crosses over my natal North Node. Because again, I'm looking at these patterns and I think that it's just fascinating. So, and it's really not been that long ago that Pluto crossed over my North Node. I mean, that Saturn crossed over my North Node. Oh my gosh. I think it was around the time that I really went full on independent, that wasn't associated with a bookstore, because I started Metaphysical Round Table with a couple of other ladies in 2019, but I was still associated with a bookstore, so I couldn't launch everything, and I didn't launch it until 2020 when I when I separated from the bookstore. Some of you know about that. Saturn and Pluto both in Scorpio. Oh my gosh, you do, Kelsey. That is interesting. You have two of big players in one sign. That's really cool. That is really cool. So I'm picking on Kelsey because I have her I just had her chart pulled up. But I wanted to see, I've got Becky's here too. Again, you guys, make sure you check out Gypsy Soul Surfer on Facebook. She has a group on Facebook, but she is also taking clients now. She's got her business cards and everything. And make sure you check out La Hermosa Bruja, the Beautiful Witch. She has amazing stuff. She has amazing stuff for sale on her website. Holy shnikes, Becky. Okay, see, Becky is another one that has both Pluto and Saturn in Scorpio. Now, here's a big difference. She's got Mercury and Sun in Scorpio as well. So that's a lot. That's packing a wallop because sorry, you guys, I'm sorry. That's packing a wallop there in Scorpio. I love that. She is a stellium in Scorpio and almost a stellium in Capricorn. This is very interesting. Loving it, actually. Love studying people's charts. I really do. I'm sorry. I'm getting like distracted by people's charts. I love it. But this is really, I think this is some really amazing stuff. And I think that you need to, I think that it would be really good for you guys to check some of this stuff out. Check out your charts. Now, you guys know my favorite place to go look at charts is astro.com. But if you go to Cafe Astrology is also another free service, and they give you a boatload of information for free about your chart. I mean, I'm talking about a packet of information if you choose to print it out about your chart. And it's phenomenal. There's a lot of good stuff on Cafe Astrology. I love the information that they give. I've even bought several of their, like, they have some things on there where you can pay to get the like more additional information and stuff, and I love it. But let me tell you, the ones, yes, Cafe Astrology, Michelle, and the ones on Cafe Astrology really are, it's a lot of really awesome, good information. The ones on astro.com are just the chart, but it's a chart that I understand, and that's where I put all of my clients' charts because I have a subscription from them, and it's where I put all of my clients' charts. So just for fun. Okay, so there's another person that she was in the chat. I don't know if you're still there. That has a stellium in Aquarius on her chart. This is fascinating to me because I really want to see what this Pluto and Aquarius kind of thing does for how it shapes up in her chart, because she has Sun, Mercury, Venus, and Mars all in Aquarius. And in just a couple of weeks, I have it all written down because I just did this for the numerology. In just a couple of weeks, we're going to have Mars goes into Aquarius on the 13th of February. Venus goes into Aquarius on the 16th of February. Mercury goes into Aquarius on the 5th of February. So we're going to have the Sun, Mercury, Mars, and Venus all in Aquarius, along with Pluto during this time. I'm very interested to see this. And I will say a really cool thing happened, all right, while all this was going on. We had the Sun conjunct Pluto in Capricorn. And then we had the Sun conjunct Pluto in Aquarius as well. So I just kind of think it's really interesting because Pluto moved into Aquarius the same day as the Sun moved into Aquarius this year. So the Sun was conjunct Pluto in both Capricorn and Aquarius in a very short period of time. That's not something that happens every day because Pluto moves so slow. So slow. So that's fun. That's fun. This is going to be a very interesting. I just feel like this is going to be a very interesting month. And we have the Lunar New Year on February 10th, and that is going to be the year of the dragon. I mean, I just feel like this is a major turning point because in my numerology opinion, we're in a 44-8 year in numerology. We're also entering the year of the dragon. That's a very powerful sign in the Chinese astrology. So this Lunar New Year is going to be a big deal, especially during a manifesting year like this. Then we have Pluto in Aquarius, which is definitely more open-minded. It's more of a creative process instead of like the governing process or the rebellion process of Pluto and Capricorn. So I truly feel like 2024 is a game changer year. And I don't know what you want to do with your year, but I feel like you can make it. And this is something that I have on my bulletin board. It's a quote from a movie. The movie is called Cousins. It's from the 80s. And the quote is, "This is your life. You can either make it chicken shit or chicken salad. What do you want?" I feel like that's so perfect for this year. I really do. The changes that you want to implement into your life, I feel like this is the year to start it and do it. I really do. I saw something else that was amazing that came up on my For You page, I think on TikTok or YouTube Shorts or something, because when I was sick, I was watching that a lot. There's only so much that I could watch with my kids playing that Roblox game. Have you guys entered into this little piece of hell, Roblox? It's insane. So I was watching this girl and she goes, "Go out there and get rejected. Go out there and apply for crazy stuff. Go out there and apply for crazy shit and get rejected. Just see what happens." She applied to Harvard just to see. She applied to Harvard. She applied for a marketing job that she never ever thought she would get because she didn't have a college degree. She didn't have a marketing experience. She got the job. She got the job. She walked up to people at the park or at some restaurant, I think, and just was like, "Do you mind if I eat with you?" Because she was looking to get rejected. And they were like, "No, sit down." She was like, "Things have changed so much in my life because I put myself out there and said, I'm going to have this experience. I want to get rejected." She got put on the wait list for Harvard. She's 18 years old. Put yourself out there. Do this. "Oh my gosh, Gretchen, really? You're getting over the flu too?" Yeah. That's why I haven't been here. And that's why I've missed the past few weeks. Oh my gosh. The flu hit my entire family, Gretchen. And I'm just now getting my voice back to a place where people can hear me. I know I am so behind on everything, my appointments, my videos. It's insane. This flu was nothing to joke about. This was a crazy flu. I mean, really. It put me out of commission. I had a fever for 5 days. It sucked. It sucked. It is the worst, Gretchen. I am so sorry you have it too. I mean, y'all, and Gretchen is a nurse. She's a pediatric nurse too. So oh my gosh. I mean, this is a horrible thing. Okay, Kelsey, don't if you feel like the interview went horribly, just say, okay, I'm just looking for a rejection. I'm just going to put it out there. Put yourself out there. I think this is the year to do it, everybody. Listen, I'm not kidding. This is a manifesting year. Put yourself out there. Go for the gold. What do you want? Do what this young lady did. She applied to Harvard. She got put on the wait list. She got the job. There's like so many amazing things that, like, she got that marketing job. And oh my gosh, I misread that, Kelsey. You did get the job. Okay, we need to talk about that. That's cool. There is some amazing stuff out there. And I think that we should all be trying it this year. I think we actually should put ourselves out there and just be like, yeah, I'm ready to hear no. I'm ready to hear it. And I'm ready to do it. I truly am. I want to see what the next thing is going to happen for Jennifer. I know. I've already put it out there with some weird stuff that I had an interview while I was sick, and I didn't want to put the interview off. So I interviewed with them while I had a fever, and I was drinking tea, just trying to keep my voice going long enough for the interview. And I was surprised. So I still don't know if I got the position, but I made it to the next level. You know what I mean? I made it to the next part. We'll see what happens. Excuse me. Sorry. So I was talking about people with stelliums. Gretchen, who is in the chat on Facebook, and by the way, Gretchen is telling you, Kelsey, congratulations on the job. That's awesome. So Gretchen has a stellium as well. She has a stellium in Scorpio, just like Becky. This is some pretty interesting stuff. So Gretchen and I we're born really close together. Our differences are because that generational thing that I was talking about with Pluto. Gretchen's Pluto is in Virgo and mine is just over the line into Libra. We're riding those lines because of where our birthdays are, because our birth years are right at that transition of Pluto from Virgo to Libra. So this is pretty fascinating. And when I see people that have those cusp things that are right on the line, I see that they're taking over the qualities of that thing, of the next sign. And the reason why I say that is because this is a good example. Late Virgo, really, really late Virgo, has a lot more Libra influence than early Virgo or middle Virgo. Middle Virgo is like a true, like, Virgo. I was born in an early Virgo. I mean, I was born as an early Virgo. And so is Dr. Seuss. Dr. Seuss has much more Leo, like, he has much more Leo tendencies than I do, because he was literally born on the cusp. That's something else that I've really been like paying attention to and watching. And so when I'm looking at it with Pluto, there is a blend. There is a little bit of a like that overlap. And I think that's why when I was talking about the history of Pluto in Capricorn and Pluto in Aquarius, And we see that little bit of blending, that little bit of overlap with Pluto in Capricorn and Aquarius, because Pluto does go retrograde, and it stays retrograde about half the year. I think it's like 5 months that Pluto stays retrograde every year. So when we're looking at that, and Pluto left Capricorn and went into Aquarius in 1778, right as we were a burgeoning country, we do see that the influence of Capricorn is still there when the Constitution was ratified in 1781. But we also see the influence of Aquarius when we were fighting for the independence of this country. Like, in 1776 is what I'm saying. So it's just really interesting to me. It's a fascinating thing. And I think that we're in that period of overlap. We're still in that period of like feeling the Capricorn energy and feeling the Aquarius energy at the same time. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see how the next couple of years goes, because again, we have Pluto takes another quick little dip back into Capricorn later this year when he goes retrograde, and then he'll be in Aquarius until 2044. So yeah. So very, very interesting. Okay. Do you guys have any questions about, because I've talked a lot about Saturn, I've talked a lot about Pluto. Tell me if you guys have questions. I love, love, love the patterns of astrology. I think that it's so important. And so people that go, astrology is BS, astrology is not whatever. Those are people that actually do not know what they're talking about. I'm not talking about reading your horoscope every day, astrology. I am talking about looking at the patterns of the past, looking at these things and looking at how they have shaped not just individuals, not just groups, not just countries, but the world. Looking at how things have happened and the big shape of it here. And I'm looking at, when I'm doing all this research on Saturn conjunct the North Node and Saturn conjunct the South Node, the first thing I research is personal stuff. How does it affect me personally? Since I can't do that with Pluto, because come on, I mean, it's not like I've been around for 225 years. You know what I'm saying? But so I can't say that personally, but I can look at Saturn personally, and I can look at this major player in astrology and see how it affects me personally. Now, then I can expand and see how is it affecting my community? Like, what is it doing to my community when Saturn is conjunct North Node or South Node? What is it doing to the country? What is it doing worldwide? And you start looking at it from that perspective. Whereas Pluto, we have to look at it worldwide or as a country, because nobody lives for 225 years, because we're not in the Old Testament anymore. Those people live for like 900 years in the Old Testament. I'm just saying. So, this is the kind of patterns I'm talking about. This is the kind of things that I think are very interesting. And I encourage you to take a look at it. I just hit this. This is the lady, that's in the ticker down here. MelanieReinhardt.com is where I found the information, some of the information about Saturn and North Node. It was just the one that had like all the pieces, all the information of like when Saturn's been conjunct the North Node since 1911. And I thought that was really cool. The other one was the Astro Matrix. It's astromatrix.org. So the astromatrix.org gave a lot of really interesting and cool information about Saturn being conjunct the North Node. And I just, again, I thought it was really awesome because it talks a lot about Saturn's aspects. And I just, the Astro Matrix, honestly, the astromatrix.org has a lot of really good information on that website. Methuselah, yeah. Seriously. But this is really fun stuff for me to talk about. And really, I have only truly been hardcore studying astrology for about 6 years. I am in no way any kind of expert. I've been studying numerology for 22 years, and I still don't feel like I'm an expert in numerology. It's my first love, 100%. But I mean, it's even a higher love to me than doing readings, like doing card readings, because I just love numbers that much. But astrology is quickly becoming a like a second contender here of loves of mine. And I enjoy taking classes, and every time I find somebody that is like offering like introductory classes, I always take their introductory classes to see if I want to dive a little deeper with them, because one of my clients introduced me to this cute as a button young lady on YouTube. Her name is Maren Altman, Maren Altman. And she's a trip, man. I just love her. But she is a fantastic astrologer, and she's young. She is very young. She's in her 20s. And this kid came in knowing this stuff. There's no way someone of her age could be able to absorb as much as she's done. She obviously came in as an astrologer. She's amazing, really. And there's several other people that I follow that are just about astrology and that I've taken their classes. Deborah Silverman is another one. Her classes are quite pricey though, but amazing astrologers that are online. And you just have to find the ones that really help you to understand astrology, because it can be complicated. But you can also put it into a spreadsheet. And this Virgo sun loves spreadsheets. Oh my gosh. And all you Pisces people out there, y'all are my opposite sign. And I know you like things organized too. So, okay, you guys, if y'all don't have any questions, if you need the links or the names or whatever of the stuff that I've talked about tonight, just email me at metaphysicalroundtable@gmail.com. I am catching up. I was out of work for 2 weeks, and I got behind big time. So I am catching up. We're making some really good progress. I finally got the videos out on readings at the round table for the zodiac signs for the full moon in Leo that was last Thursday. But I managed to get them out just for the end of January. I am working on the numerology videos right now. Hopefully I will have them out by Thursday on February 1st. But I mean, I'm telling you, it's going to be, I just feel like this is such a great year, and I just can't even be upset with being late, because it was a very challenging time. And thank you so much, Joy. And oh my gosh, thank you to all of you that sent me messages and texts and like just all the stuff, sending me love on Facebook and YouTube, and just texting me and just checking. And I just appreciate you so much. Gretchen, I hope you get better, hon, because I know this flu sucks. It was just, I didn't think that fever was ever going to go away. I really did not. But I'm just glad to have a voice again, because my job depends on me talking. And that's scary. my gosh. So I do appreciate you guys so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And make sure you check out your zodiac videos. The numerology will be out later this week. Go look up your stuff. Go look up your chart on astro.com or Cafe Astrology. And if you need to ask me questions, I'm happy to answer them. Just email me. And if you have any questions about tonight that you don't want to put in the comments below, I get that. People do this all the time. They email, they text me, and I'm here for it. So, and I am catching up. I am catching up. I have 3 more clients to read for, and I will be all caught up. And then I'm back into the swing of things, taking appointments and stuff. But I did post on my website that I'm not taking new clients, but none of you are new. So just to let you know. All right. I will hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful night. I hope y'all have a wonderful week. And until we see each other again, what are you going to do? Get out there and make your magic. Bye, y'all.